We are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another rousing edition of Self-Publishing Insiders. I'm Jim Azevedo, and I run corporate communications and marketing here at Draft Digital. And today it is my pleasure to welcome Cameron Sutter, the founder and creator of Plottr, back onto the show. Welcome
Hi,
back.
thanks for having me.
Oh man, it's been a while. We were talking about this a little bit backstage as we were enjoying our drinks and snacks. And we were like, when was it? Like a year and a half, 2 years? I think it's closer to 2 years,
Yeah,
Cameron.
it's been a while. It has been a while.
Yeah. So let me read Cameron's bio here because I like your bio. It's it's not one of the long historical accounts of one's life, but it's really cool. So let me just quickly read it so that our audience out there just knows a little bit more about you. So Cameron Sutter is a sci-fi and fantasy author and the inventor of Plottr, the wildly popular visual story planning software. He's escaped death by explosion, rock slide, disease, and car accident. Hope that wasn't all in the same day.
Luckily, no.
All right. He loves doing funny accents for his kids. Me too. We got to talk about that afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
He loves doing funny accents for his kids and believes his life's mission is to serve writers. He lives near Oklahoma City with his wife, 6 kids, and too many pets. So again, welcome, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, that was the best reading of my bio ever. I need to hire you to read that bio more.
Well, you got it. You got it. So there's a lot to talk about here, especially at the speed of our industry. Things move so quickly, as our audience knows. And since we haven't had you here for a couple of years, I thought let's get started by kind of revisiting the origin story of Plottr, if you don't mind. Like specifically, what led you to create Plottr, and what problem is it that you were trying to solve for writers like yourself?
Yeah, sounds good. So, let's see, I've been writing on and off my whole life, and I took Brandon Sanderson's college course for creative writing. If you're familiar with him and his stories, he teaches a class every year. And so I got excited about writing again. I started writing, and my process was just really frustrating.
In what way? In what way?
So I was rewriting the thing over and over,
Okay.
and I didn't have any organization at all. My notes were all over the place, and like trying to remember what version of the notes corresponded with the version of the book that I'm actually writing that I actually chose to go down was very difficult. And so I was at my first job out of college had nothing to do with writing. It was a software engineer. And I started this writing group. So on lunches, we would talk about our writing. We'd sit and write.
Oh, cool.
Things like that. And we started talking about our process and tools and things like that, especially being software engineers and being able to build tools. And we're like, I used Scrivener. I tried spreadsheets. I tried Google Docs, all sorts of different things to keep myself organized. And it just wasn't what I envisioned in my mind of the ideal tool. And what I saw was I didn't even really think about the organization part of it at first. I could see like the threads of my story weaving together, and I wanted to be able to visually see what was going on with each thread as the story was progressing, but there was no good tool to do that. And like I said, I tried spreadsheets, and I think that was close, but at one point I was like, okay, let's just build this. I'm a software engineer. I can build this. So that's where the idea was born. And from that core, kind of lots of other benefits came out of that, like having a series Bible and being organized and having everything in one place and things like that. But the core was being able to visualize the threads of your story as they weave together.
Okay, that's really helpful. So for somebody who hasn't used it yet, Cameron, what makes Plottr different than something like a Scrivener or Google Docs or maybe even just a good old whiteboard? Like, what kind of sets it apart?
So in Plottr, you don't write your story. So we're not focused on the writing part, the manuscript part. So Scrivener is definitely better at that, or Google Docs, whatever you use, Word, those are better. But Plottr, visualizes your story. So you can think of it like a user-friendly spreadsheet, one that doesn't look intimidating, doesn't look boring. But you could also think of it as like index cards or sticky notes on your wall. And a lot of people do that for their stories. They'll like have different sticky notes on their wall, and they'll say, this is what this character is doing. Here's this plot line. And so you're able to see what's going on at each point of your story. And when you think of your story visually like that, it really changes the game for you. It just makes it so much easier to think about character arcs and not make plot holes and things like that. Because if you're looking at an outline that has 50,000, 100,000 words, it's hard to keep all of that in your head. But instead, when you see something visual and you're able to drag and drop and move things around, like, okay, this part comes too early in the story or too late or something, and actually I need to move it around, and that would actually have a more satisfying arc to it. Just seeing it visually like that really makes it easier to have a good story.
Yeah, you can actually see it kind of playing out as you're going through it. Who is it ideally designed for, Cameron? Does it work across the board for authors who maybe haven't published their first book, or is this something that's maybe it's better for those authors who have been through the process several times and they just want to clean up their process a little bit, or is it kind of for every author out there to help them organize their thoughts and plots?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Originally, I wasn't thinking about that. Originally, I was just making a good tool for me.
Yeah.
But it turns out that a lot of people think the way I do, and their brains work the same way, I guess, because that's what people tell us. Oh, this is the way my brain works. Finally, a tool that works that way. So, but we found out that it's useful for different reasons for different types of authors, and I can go through that a little bit.
Sure.
So one difference is Plottr versus Pantser. So some people plan out their stories beforehand, really detailed, and some people just start writing with the seed of an idea, or maybe even not really an idea. They just start writing, and those are called pantsers. That's one way to call it, or a discovery writer. And so it's useful for those people very differently. For the plotters that love to have something planned out, this is really great. They can have a really great plan of like each little detail, what each character is going to go through, and see their character arc beforehand. But for pantsers, that's not valuable. They don't want to do that. Although some pantsers have said that the reason they were pantsers is because there wasn't a visual way to do this. And so when they use Plottr, they're actually like, oh, this is what I needed. But that's not everybody. We're not trying to like convert pantsers or anything. But for pantsers, it's more valuable after the first draft, you put it in Plottr, and this is where Storysnap will come in later, but you put it in Plottr, and then you're able to, during the editing, move things around. And this helps all authors, having an organized series Bible that's searchable and easy to find when you're on book 3, book 10, whatever, trying to find that, go through hundreds of characters. If you have a record of something that's easily searchable, you can be like, what's that one character that had blue eyes, or what was the eye color for that one waitress, or the backstory of that one waitress. That's going to be super valuable when you've written more books, and if you're a pantser after the fact. So that's kind of one difference. Pantser versus Plottr. The other one is like new author versus experienced author. And I think it helps new authors more because they don't have a process, because they're just trying to figure out the story for the first time. But for experienced authors, having that series Bible is super valuable. And as a new author, you don't know you need one until you've written 3 books and you're like, oh man, I really need some help with this. But for the experienced author, the other thing that's really great is templates. And that's, we have these story structures built into Plottr. So if you're familiar with the 7-point plot structure, or the hero's journey, or the romancing the beat, or the 12-step mystery formula, those kind of story structures, if you're familiar with those, you can just put in a template, and then it's almost just like drop your piece of the story in, and boom, you're going, and you've already got the bones of a story ready, and it makes it super easy for your process. So that's a couple different ways that it helps different types of writers.
I heard you say on an interview, I think it was, or maybe it was one of the videos that you created yourself, Cameron, that that you yourself are a pantser, or maybe you were a pantser at one point. and now you're more of a plotter. But do you still consider yourself? Are you kind of a hybrid
Yeah,
now?
definitely a hybrid. I feel like I bounce back and forth depending on what book I'm writing. And
Hmm.
so I've published 3 books. I've probably written a few others that haven't been published yet. So not like it's not dozens of books yet. I'm still very early in the writing, like trying to figure out how I'm what I'm good at and how my process works.
You've been a little busy, but
Yeah,
we'll give you some leeway here.
thank you. It's funny though. I made a tool to help writers, and I ended up writing less because of it. But I'm helping lots of people write, so
Funny
I
how that
enjoy it.
works in this industry.
Yeah, yeah. But so originally I thought it was a plotter, and I was like planning everything out. But then as I started writing it, I was pantsing it, and so I started rewriting. And then the next one, I did really good at plotting, and that one worked out great. And that second one is when I had Plottr finally for the first time ever, and I was able to plan it out really well, and that one went really great. And now where I'm at is I'm somewhere in the middle, and I kind of pants. I kind of plan a few scenes ahead of where I'm writing, so I can kind of see where I'm currently going for a few scenes ahead, and I
Yeah,
plan that out. And then, but I kind of pants it, and things take detours and stuff. But
sure.
so yeah, it's some sort of hybrid. But
I heard at one of the conferences I attended, and I might have been the San Francisco Writers Conference a couple of years ago, and I'm kicking myself because I can't remember who the New York Times internationally best-selling author was when an author from the audience um, was saying that, hey, I think I'm on my third or fourth book. I think I've finally figured out how to do this, how to write a novel. I finally have a process down. And then the author who was on stage, this internationally famous, best-selling author, said, "You figured out how to write that book because it's going to change. It's going to change this time to the next time." And they
I
got
believe
a
that.
nice,
I totally believe that. Yeah.
yeah. Bring up some quick comments here from our viewers. Beth says, "Oh, a user-friendly spreadsheet that exists." Haha.
Not until Plottr, but
Not until Plottr. Yeah. And then and Tom says, I could use something that will keep track of characters. I keep having to go back and find out who characters are in earlier books.
yeah, you'll find that having something written down about each character is going to be so valuable for you. Otherwise, man, I've talked to so many writers. They're like, I've just so many books into the series, and there's hundreds
Yeah.
of characters, and they're just like, what do I do? Hundreds of characters, So
Yeah, absolutely. And just one last quick little fun comment here from Meredith. Love the pineapple art on the wall.
yeah, thank you. My wife actually watercolored that for me, and I just have this thing with pineapples. I love pineapples for lots of different reasons.
I would agree. Me too. So you've made a conscious decision to focus on planning and visual planning in particular, not drafting, not writing. Did you make a conscious decision, Cameron, in the early days to kind of stop where there are other tools out there who are trying to just do everything? Or do you have more plans for additional features in the future?
Yeah, good question, because so I've been in the software world for a while, and I've seen this time and time again where software tries to do everything and it just becomes too much.
Yeah.
And so we're really trying to balance that and make Plottr really good at one thing, which is planning and organizing your writing process, and not about the writing. We get so many requests to make a writing tool, and it would be great and awesome, I think. And people can write in Plottr. You could write your story in Plottr. But if we tried to optimize it for that, we'd get into this. We'd be a small fish in a huge pond
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the ocean, and there'd just be so many feature requests. Make it do this, make it do that, make it do this, and it could very easily balloon into this thing that's way less useful. So Plottr is just focused on being really good at one thing, and in the future, who knows? Maybe we'll make a a writing tool that's like using the Plottr methodology or something like that, and it'll be the Plottr writing tool or something. But for right now, we're focusing on making it good at one thing.
That's good. And it's, as an entrepreneur, you have your roadmap, and sometimes it can be really difficult to focus on that sort of that end game there, especially when you have enhancement requests coming in
Oh,
that might kind of pull you off track a little bit. You have to stay within those guardrails
yeah,
in order to move the
it's so
company
easy.
forward.
It's so easy to get distracted with all the different requests from people, and like there's such good ideas, and some of them we just can't do, but lots of them, lots of the things that we do in Plottr have come from users' ideas. So we're still able to take a lot of people's requests, and we're always getting feedback and improving it because of that. So
Okay, well, good. That's a good segue, because I wanted to sort of switch gears here and maybe talk about Storysnap and Story Bibles and what led you to that next phase or to that particular feature. Was that based in large part on feedback you were getting from your authors?
yeah, so part of it is we saw a need. Part of it is it was kind of a desire to help people that already have several books
Okay.
kind of get into Plottr easier and do the work for them, so that they wouldn't have to manually input all the characters and everything. Because honestly, when you're running a business, writing and publishing and things, it's hard to do all that, and that's probably very low value for you until it becomes super important. You wish you had that series Bible, and then you're 100 characters in and you're like, oh man, I wish I could do this. Can I pay somebody? You can pay a virtual assistant to do it, and things like that. So it was kind of born out of the need of, or seeing that need, and also trying to get people into Plottr easier.
Okay. Can we define, can we go back a bit and define what a story Bible is? And specifically with Storysnap, is it specifically designed for, to keep track of multiple books or multiple stories, or can an author start with just a single story using a story Bible that builds up over time?
Yeah, great question. So, and actually, I see a few comments coming in from other people about Plottr. Can I answer those really quick before we?
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah, sorry. We'll get back to that question about story Bibles here. So I see a couple of people asking about the price and the subscription service, and there's actually, it doesn't have to be a subscription. There's a lifetime option, so you can just pay once. Because I know people hate subscriptions, and so we've tried to make it so you can do both, either just pay once or pay a little bit at a time. Oh yeah, and somebody said that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the lifetime. And then Ethan, you had a question about being too expensive, and I totally get that, especially with how things are in the world today with economy and stuff. I would love to I don't know, kind of address that, but I know a lot of authors have told us that not Storysnap, I was about to say, that Plottr has been the best investment they have made for their writing career. That has been hands down the most valuable thing for them. That and like Grammarly, I think most people say. So, I forget the other one off the top of my head. Sorry. Pro Writing Aid. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, it is kind of expensive, and there's always discount codes and things like that. So, if you have a problem with the price, definitely email us and we can work with you. But see if there's, okay. Yeah, good. That I just wanted to make sure I addressed those, because yeah, things are difficult right now, and I understand price. So
yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. But so getting back to the series Bible question. So a series Bible or a story Bible is having all the information for your whole story. So all the information about your characters, the magic systems, the backstory, the world building, all those kind of things in one place that you can reference. And so it's meant as a reference tool. And if a story Bible means just for one book, and a series Bible is for the whole series. And so Storysnap is a tool that takes a finished manuscript and builds a story Bible. And the output of that is either a Plottr file or a Word document. So we're not trying to lock people into Plottr with Storysnap, but it will build a Plottr file for you that is the story Bible for that story. And we think that's a better experience than just a Word document, because a Word document you can still search and we make it really organized and stuff. But with Plottr, it does the visual timeline for you, like the index cards, the sticky notes. It does that for you, and you can see the character arcs, and it's easier to search and it's more organized. But to answer your question about the one book at a time thing, it is right now meant for just one book at a time, because and so it does use AI. I forgot to mention that. And AIs can't handle that. Like, they can't handle a whole series at once. And so that's why we're just focusing on one book at a time. And when I say AI, I know a lot of people get worried about that, but we've taken a lot of precautions to make sure that it doesn't train your book on the AI models don't train on your book. We're using what's called the API, or like our servers are talking to ChatGPT servers, and it's in their terms and conditions that when you do it that way, it doesn't, they're not allowed to train on that material. And we never upload your manuscript or anything to their servers. So it's never on their servers. So you don't have to trust those big tech companies, because it's never in their hands in the first place. And they're not training on your work. It's a really important thing to say, because I know a lot of people are scared about that. And it's a big deal right now. So
there's still a lot of apprehension out there. Does the Storysnap just integrate seamlessly with the Plottr tools? So you're using Storysnap and it just kind of melds into Plottr?
So it's a separate site, and what it does is it gives you a Plottr file, and then you can just open that in Plottr. Or if you're using the online version of Plottr, you can just upload it to Plottr. So it's not like a one button seamless thing, but it makes it fairly seamless to you. And we separated it on purpose, because for a couple different things. One, because of the AI thing, some people are really worried about the AI. So there's no AI in Plottr. Storysnap is separate, and so you don't have to worry about any AI in Plottr. And also, there's a lot of use cases for like editors and publishers and things where they could use Storysnap, and we didn't want people to have to buy Plottr to be able to use those benefits of Storysnap. But Storysnap is super easy to use. You drag in a file and click one button. And that's like one of the big benefits. Instead of having to do the prompting yourself, or like figure out what are the right prompts, or how to copy and paste it into an organized place or whatever, like all that manual work, Storysnap does for you. And so you just drag in a file, click one button, and you've got this amazing, super detailed book Bible.
I mean, I've gone as far as like printing out 8.5 by 11, pages, paper pages, all over my bed, on the floor, color coded.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Old days. Hey, real quickly, I want to bring up a quick follow-up comment here from Tom, who says, "I'm happy to pay for a good product. The problem is I paid for a bunch of them by now and can't find one that really works." So I wanted to ask you though, Cameron, do you have like free trials or periods of time where people can just kind of check it out and play with it a little bit?
Yeah, so Plottr has a 30-day free trial. You can try it out and see if it works for you, and makes it super easy for you. So,
okay, cool. There you go, Tom. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, sorry. That's a good comment though. Yeah, a lot of them don't say what they do on the box. So
yeah, for sure. Gosh, here's another question. I think you kind of addressed this one already, but a lot of indie authors, especially those who are, writing fantasies, they're often world builders and not just storytellers. So I'm curious, was Storysnap sort of built with that scale in mind? Because it just sounds like you could just keep expanding with Storysnap.
Yeah, so Storysnap doesn't help you come up with any ideas or build your world. All it does is it's taking what you've already written in your manuscript and organizing it into something that's easy to reference. And so if you built like a magic system into it, it's really good at pulling out the magic system and like all the details of how it works and what characters have it and things like that. So it'll help you reference that later on when you're done, but it's not going to help you build anything. It's not what it's meant for.
Sure, but it's meant to help you keep track of what you've built. Sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
and it's
I'm
really good at getting all the details. It's like amazingly detailed. I was blown away the first time that we actually got one through it and it worked and everything. And I was like, for my books, for example, it goes through it goes through every place in your story and kind of explains not only the description of the place, but also the emotional significance in your book, which
oh,
blew me
really?
away. And like there was this clearing in my story in the woods, and it talked about the emotional significance of that clearing. And I was like, I never would have thought about that, and like the detail on each character, and then the detail of the magic system and the organizations or religions, and just like so detailed. I was so blown away. It's really cool to just have all those details that you don't have to do the manual work of pulling them out or even prompting to get all those.
Yeah. Do you have any other use cases you could share? Maybe some feedback that you've heard from authors who are using the system? Because Storysnap, it's a fairly new um, feature, right?
Yeah, so we started kind of secretly letting people use it back in like September, but we've just been slowly making people more and more aware of it, and building
Okay.
out the features and things like that. So just like a week or two ago is when I think a week or two ago is when, maybe a little bit more than that, when we kind of officially announced it to our whole audience, like it's ready for anybody to use if they want to.
Hmm.
Some other use cases, some people are finding that from one draft to another, it helps them to see the differences that they've made. And um, it's very customizable. So we have what's called add-ons, which let you do whatever you want with it. So one add-on is write me an Amazon blurb or the back cover blurb of my story. And again, this is AI. You
Yeah.
can't just copy and paste this and put it on the back cover of your book, but it will give you like a rough draft of a blurb or an Amazon description. There's another one where it'll pull out like the date, location, and weather of each chapter. There's another one that will generate book club questions, things like
Oh,
that.
cool.
So we've made it very customizable, so it can do basically anything you want. And if you have an idea, we'll build an add-on for you to do that in your story. And I kind of lost track of what your original question was, but yeah, the add-ons make it customizable. That's where I was going.
No, this is really cool because as you're speaking through this, I'm thinking about I'm constantly trying to find like a visual way to plan my days, my weeks, and even my months because I've got you know uh, but service enhancements that are coming up, different you know news items that are coming up, and there are different business units that I'm keeping track of. And I'm like, okay, I need to like I wish I had this visual tool to help me plan better. Like, here's this business unit, and here are the different things that are coming here in this quarter and next quarter. Oh, then here's this other business unit. So I'm hearing everything you're saying, Cameron. I'm just kind of like,
Well, it's funny
this
because
is
people have used Plottr for lots of different things that we didn't expect, like planning their marketing for their
this
books.
is exactly what I was going to ask you next. Yeah,
Oh,
please.
cool. Yeah, so like planning out visually, like, okay, or one line could be like your emails, another one could be social media, another one could be like physical events that you go to or something. And then you have dates going down like January, February, March, or something like that. And what am I doing for social media? What am I doing for email? What am I doing for in-person events? That kind of thing. And actually, I use it for my yearly goals. So just to
Hmm.
visualize, I'll have like months and then personal goals, writing goals, financial goals, those kind of things. Um, and there's one other use case that I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, people use it for all sorts of things. And like kind of a roadmap. That was the other thing. We use it. I use it as like a roadmap for myself of what to build next. Though I'm not great at updating that very often. But yeah, all sorts of different ways and that's something we've noticed with Plottr, like seeing things visually like that in a user-friendly spreadsheet, like a thing that's not intimidating, not very rigid, and not very, oh, this is this date or that date. It's just more of a flexible thing. It is really powerful for people. So who knows, maybe we'll make a Plottr for, Just anything, like a Plottr for anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to play with it. I really do. I haven't played with it yet. My job is just to try to get as much awareness for draft digital as possible.
Right.
I'm not a full-time novelist, so it's like, yeah, but I hear about some tools sometimes, and especially yours.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time I'm like, yeah, I think I need to download this and just start, or just sign up for an account and just start messing with it to keep myself organized.
Yeah, you might find interesting uses, and if you do, then send them my way. Well, somebody plans out their workshops. I just remember they plan out their workshops. Like they have a 2-day long seminar or something. They plan out in Plottr visually. It's pretty cool.
Oh, for sure. Just a couple quick comments here. One from Alyssa, our own Alyssa Dollinger, who says, sounds like a
Oh, I think I lost you. Oh, so he froze. I thought it was me that froze. Oh man. I was like trying to find out if my internet was still up and everything, but okay, it looks like he froze. So yeah, I'm the new the host. Welcome to the show today. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just responding to Alyssa's comment there. That accuracy between books is really important because as a writer, you're gonna get emails from your readers, and they're gonna say things like, "Why did you change this character? He was." I see the comment. Look at me, I'm the host now. Yeah. But I can't highlight that on the screen because I'm not the real host, so I'm not able to add that there. Anyway, so you're going to get emails from readers that tell you, why did you change the character? This is my favorite character, or things like that. And now he has green eyes. I like the blue eyes. Don't change that. And you're going to look at that and like, oh, I had no idea. You're just gonna have so many characters, you're not gonna be able to keep them in your head. You think after the first couple books that, yeah, I can keep all that in my head. But when I was writing the sequel of one of my books, it was like years afterwards, and I didn't remember a lot of the details. So I had to go back I had to go back and reread book one before I could start writing book two. And man, you can't do that when you get 4, 5, 6 books into the series. You can't go reread all of them again. It's just going to be really difficult. So you'll get emails like that from your readers saying, why did you change things? So it's important to have that series Bible. And it's a little painful, but I think with Storysnap, it's going to make that process a little less painful because you can just upload a manuscript and it'll make that series Bible for you and you can just search it and stuff. But yeah, it's a little painful process, and there's different ways to go about it. There's like, you can pay somebody, a virtual assistant or something. There's companies that will build it for you. You can upload it to like ChatGPT and ask it questions and things like that, and different things. But yeah, so if anybody has any other questions, feel free to answer them. I guess I'm answering them now. Let's hope he gets back.
Oh, hey, Cameron.
Oh, hey,
surprise! It's not Jim.
Yeah.
No, Jim's internet cut out. So sorry. So sorry that happened. And I was in a different room when it happened, so I didn't even know that he was gone. But thanks for carrying it forward.
Yeah, you came at the exact right time because I was just running out of stuff to say, and I was like, I'm just gonna start making stuff up here. So they better get somebody.
So I missed out on the earlier part of the conversation, but what was it that you guys were just chatting about before we lost Jim?
Yeah, so we were talking about series Bibles and how important it is to have those, and how we've created this new tool called Storysnap that takes a finished manuscript, and using AI, it just kind of organizes everything into Plottr into a series Bible for you.
Oh my God, that's amazing! So I mean, okay, and this is a new technology. I knew you were working on something like that. I didn't know it was available already.
Yep. Just recently we announced it.
So I have used Plottr in the past, and it was actually a co-author that talked me into it because I normally don't plot, and she talked me into it because we really had to use something. I can't just make things up when I have a co-author. So
Yeah.
we were using Plottr, and then I was using Plottr to try to make a story Bible because it's a 7-book series. But now, are you telling me you've made it that much easier for us?
Yeah, it's you drag in a file, click one button, and you've got a story Bible just for one of your books. You'd have to do it for each book individually
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, just one click, and it's super detailed. It gets everything about all your characters, the places, it builds outline, the timeline, and Plottr
Right.
and stuff for you.
Oh
So
my God. So could I take book 1 and then book 2, book 3? Does it combine them, or how does that work?
yeah, so it doesn't combine them yet. So you'd have
Okay.
an individual file for each one. But in Plottr, you can import a file into each other, so you could combine them all manually. And we're
Okay.
working on the series version of this. The LLMs can't handle it, but I have some ways that I think we can do
Oh my
this.
God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to give you my money. So to that end, Karen has a question I'm going to pop up that says, where do we find Storysnap? And she said it in that very enthusiastic voice. I could tell.
Yeah, I can tell too. It's storysnap.ai. That's the website.
Okay, storysnap.ai. I'm going to put that in, and I think Lexi's going to help by dropping it in the comments, the link in the comments.
Oh,
But
great.
I'm going
Yeah.
to, well, we got plottr.com, Jim already put in.
Yep.
But I'm going to do Storysnap. So storysnap.ai.
Yeah. .ai.
Okay, let's see if I can spell things properly without my glasses on here. Is this the right URL?
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like cool. It's like I listen sometimes.
And we've actually got a discount code that we can give people. I don't know if I
really?
can I put in the
If you put it in the private chat, I'll copy it over.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
that'd be great. And so again, as an existing Plottr user, can I find it from there, or do I have to go to Storysnap separately?
You have to go to Storysnap separately. Yeah, we made them a separate tool for a couple different reasons, which you missed in the podcast. But yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
I see a
Thank you.
couple other
I'm just going to
questions.
pop that up. I'll pop that over. So this coupon code, I'm just going to add that banner right now. 50 Story Snap demo, right? 50 STORYSNAPDEMO for those listening on the podcast. What's that going to get?
Sorry.
It's okay. Hey, you're giving something to authors here. We're not. Don't apologize.
Yeah.
So what does that get? What does that get authors?
So it's 50% off. And the
Wow.
reason for that big discount is because it's at the beginning of the launch phase, and we're still trying to figure out where's the value, who's it valuable for, and stuff. So we're still figuring that out. So you get to take advantage of that, and it's way cheaper right now for you.
I know what I'm doing immediately after this broadcast is over.
Yeah.
So exciting. Awesome. Okay, so we had some other, and again, I'll pop that up at storysnap.ai is where you can find that, and lots of comments coming in. So again, all right, so let me.
Yeah, I see one about Plottr and Scrivener and Notion.
Yeah, from Ethanverse. Thanks for that one. So Ethanverse says, Cameron, is Plottr actually better than Scrivener plus Notion?
Yeah, so I've seen some people use Notion for their story planning. I've never heard of the combination of the two. Right. And it really comes down to a question of preference. Plottr isn't going to be great for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and so some people just have a different process. Some people just like different things. So Plottr works for me for a lot of different ways, and people find different uses for it that we found. But, you know, if Scrivener and Notion work well for you, I'd probably say don't change that unless you have a reason to change that. If you've got a process, just keep writing. Don't lose your momentum.
Oh, man. Oh, that is fantastic. Thank you. And I don't know if this comment from Tom, this comes to earlier in the conversation that you had with Jim, is, a back cover blurb, an Amazon description might be worth it for those alone. So for somebody who just joined the broadcast, or somebody who just joined as a host of the broadcast, so does that mean when I load it, I'm not just getting the Story Bible stuff, but I'm getting other elements?
So we've made Storysnap have these add-ons, which are customizable things that you can do. Okay. And there's a few of them, like it can write a Amazon description or back cover blurb for you. And it takes the context of your story and writes one. It's AI, so it's only a rough draft. You know, you'll still have to do that. But there's a bunch of those add-ons, and some are for marketing things. Some are for add more to the book Bible. Some are like for editors, like flagging potential problems in your story and stuff like that. So these add-ons, we have like a dozen of them, maybe a little bit less, and we're building more. So if you have any ideas, please let us know and we'll build these add-ons, and they're just customizable things. You can do anything.
Oh man. And so this is an important thing I want to illustrate to people who are listening. When a service provider says, let us know what you're looking for, take Cameron up on that. Right? A lot of the stuff you've developed is based on what authors are looking for. Same thing with Draft Digital, right? I mean, how much of when you decide, because again, you've got a roadmap, you've got all these things you want to do, how much of that is decided upon by users giving you feedback?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question because it's not always direct feedback, because a lot of people would have different ideas. And so one person will say, don't do this. And the other person will say, do this, the exact opposite, And so we definitely have to be captain of our own ship and decide the vision and direction that we're going in.
Right.
But we listen to people's feedback. And if like 10 people are saying, we want a better way to do this, we're like, okay, that's valuable. Let's start working on that. And so for like little quality of life improvements, those often come directly from users. They're like, oh, this is annoying. Or one person recently said, this interaction within Plottr really is bad for my motion sickness. And so we immediately changed that. So like little quality of life things like that, very often, if you send them to us, we'll fix them quickly. But like bigger changes of like, I've got this idea for a feature. We love that idea or love that feedback, and we take it and we're like, okay, what is the best way to solve this problem? And then we come up with new things. And actually Lexi asked earlier about new tools or updates. Yeah.
I was just about to ask you that one. So Lexi says, any plans? What are the things that are on the sort of roadmap for?
Yeah. And so this kind of leads into that. One of the big things that we're working on right now is a family tree feature. So you'll be able to visualize a family tree within Plottr.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, like you're talking about characters and generations and which is phenomenal for romance writers, particularly, right?
Yeah. Well, and like military fiction, if you have a government organization or something like that, you'll be able to
big epic fantasies, like all kinds of stuff. Oh my God. I could so many things. Oh, wow.
And hopefully we'll make it so Storysnap will build that family tree for you automatically. We haven't tested that yet, but that's kind of the plan. And then another thing we're going to do is make it so that within Plottr, you can see multiple different things. So you can look at your list of characters or a specific character while you're working on the timeline. Right now, you can't really do that without flipping back and forth a lot, but we've got this cool way where we're going to make it so you can see multiple things at the same time.
Oh my God, I love that. This is like, I mean, Plottr has long been a great tool, but now you're taking it to a whole new level. Did you ever imagine when you first started this journey? Did you ever imagine that you would be adding all these layers and dimensions to it?
No, I just thought I was building a tool for myself. I never knew what this would turn into, and how much people would say it helped them, and how much I would be able to just be in service of other people all day, every day. It's so cool to be able to do this.
And I'm so glad you took the time to share some stuff with us today. Just got to pop up these comments. Alyssa says, love me some flowcharts. And Lexi says, gonna George R. Martin the heck out of that. Yeah, of course. With all those family trees, etc. Oh my God, that is amazing. Any sort of last things that we didn't get a chance to ask you about that you wanted to share about what's going on with Plottr or obviously with Storysnap?
Man, I think we've gone over everything, probably more than you guys want to hear from me, but yeah, we're just really excited to be able to serve writers. So if you have any ideas for how Storysnap or Plottr could help you, we'd love to do that, especially Storysnap, where it's a new thing and we're trying to figure out where it's going to be useful for people. And with those customizable add-ons, it's really easy to add new things. So if you've got ideas, send them our way, and we'll make Storysnap this really awesome automated pipeline to just make something really powerful for you. So
awesome. Thank you for that. And just, I guess, one final question before we're about to close comes from Ethanverse, because Ethanverse is curious as what, if you can share what AI you're actually using. Is it GPT? Is it Gemini? Something else?
Yeah, right now it's just ChatGPT on the back end, but we're exploring other ones, and we may switch, and maybe for certain types of things, it'll be better to use one or the other. And so we're still exploring that. But right now it's just simple and using ChatGPT.
Awesome. Well, Cameron, thank you for Plottr. Thank you for Storysnap, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and this great update with us today.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely get to talk to you on like a podcast or something, Mark. So I'm glad you got to fill in. And
I mean, I'm sorry Jim had I hope he's okay, that the internet went out at his place and stuff like that. But I'm so glad I got a chance to chat with you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, let's hope Jim is okay.
Yeah, we'll hope he's okay. We're going to hope that Jim's okay, because he'll be back next week as the host of Draft Digital Live. If you do not want to miss Draft Digital Live, which happens every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, be sure to mark d2dlive.com. There's no exclamation point in there. That's just .com. There's no, when you're entering that URL. Make sure to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe, so you don't miss out on the fascinating conversations with amazing folks like Cameron, who not only put out great tools for authors, but when tech happens, he just manages the show all by himself, one-handed show. He's doing this. He's just taken over, providing great content, not phased in the slightest as well. And if you have not ever checked out self-publishing yourself, you can create a free account over at draftdigital.com. Cameron, thanks again for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
And thank you, listeners, for your patience. And you had a really good looking host, and now you got some bald guy jumped in at the last minute. But appreciate you guys being here. And as I get over to the close, I'm gonna probably close with a word from a voice you probably know and love, talking a little bit about D2D print.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftdigital.com.